Hello, my name is Jared Holmes. I'm in technical communication, and this is my presentation on probation officers. As a probation officer, they have several, if not many, responsibilities. The number one responsibility that probation officers will see is that they have to continue to monitor offenders to prevent them from committing new crimes. And this is important because many offenders are put out on probation because of overcrowding of jails. So they're given basically a second opportunity. Also, they have to evaluate offenders to determine the best treatment, and this is probation officers, just like counselors, have a lot of power to suggest where offenders will be placed after prison for probation. So that is very important as well. They also discuss the treatment options with offenders, and they basically are the ones to choose which offenders go into what category of treatment, whether it be in your home, seeing a psychiatrist, etc. They also supervise offenders and monitor their progress. If they are doing well on their probation, they can be rewarded with less amount of time of probation. If they are caught violating the terms of their probation, they could be sentenced back to prison or sentenced a longer probation. A huge duty of a probation officer is to write reports on the progress of offenders, and then this goes back to whether or not they are violating or cooperating with the probation terms. So you could imagine, how much paperwork a probation officer would have while monitoring a parolee. The salary for a probation officer, again, varies on your location. Obviously, much bigger states or bigger cities, you're going to make more money. But according to the website that was listed, the average median salary for probation officer is $47,200, which comes out to $22.69 per hour roughly. And again, I got this information off of BLS.gov that was listed in the online oral presentation instructions. The working conditions for a probation officer, there are many. Usually they are located in state prisons, local jails, hospitals, a lot of times nursing homes, believe it or not. And then another big one is the homes of the offenders. It is the job of a probation officer to form a relationship with the parolees. And with that relationship comes you basically know the ins and outs of their lives. So you become close with them and you gain their trust, and oftentimes you go to visit their home and they'll invite you in, etc. Another working condition of a probation officer is lots of paperwork, as I stated earlier. It's a lot of field work, but also with a lot of field work, you have to come back to an office and explain what you're doing out in the field. So therefore, there's a lot of paperwork. There are no set times for probation officers. The more crime, the more people placed on probation, the more hours that you're going to work, monitoring these people that are on probation. And you basically are like a doctor. You're always on call. If something goes down and someone on your watch under your probation, commits another crime, you have to go immediately and respond. And that's part of your duty and working condition. The outlook for probation officers is excellent. Employment of probation officers is expected to grow by 18% from 2010 to 2020, about as fast average for all occupations. Continued growth in the demand for probation and parole services will lead to new openings for officers. In addition to openings resulting from growth, many openings will be created by the need to replace large numbers of these workers expected to retire in the coming years. This occupation is not attractive to some because relatively low earnings, heavy workloads, and high stress. For these reasons, job opportunities should be excellent for those who qualify and are interested. And again, I got this information on the Outlook for probation officers on www.bls.gov that was listed in the online oral presentation packet instructions. The skills, education, and training that you need to possess in order to be a probation officer, there are many. I listed 10 of them. First of all, with all the writing skills, you have to be able to write because you're going to be doing lots of paperwork, coordinating with your people on probation. Also, you need to have great communication skills. Working out in the field, you're going to be talking to people's families, friends, relatives, getting to know what these people on probation are up to. Also, you form relationships with the people that are on probation themselves. Another thing, working out in the field, you're going to have critical thinking skills. You're going to have to think under pressure, under high stress situations. You could be under 60, 70 hours a week, and you need to be able to have the type of mindset that you can still carry out the task at hand. And most people don't understand that probation officers' jobs are somewhat dangerous because you're basically a police officer, but you deal with the same people over and over. Whereas a police officer, you deal with new sets of people. You don't deal with the same set of people over and over. Also, kind of goes along with critical thinking. You need to be excellent in decision making. The decision making skills needs to be great. There are going to be times where you're going to have to there's not a right answer. You're going to have to choose one that best fits the situation. Also, along with the writing skills, you need to have great organizational skills. This is essential because you're going to be basically working out of a vehicle, which is your office, and then you'll come back to your main office and need to use those writing skills and fill out all the correct paperwork that is needed to be done. Education, as far as education goes for a probation officer, it is required that you have a bachelor's degree from a university. And again, if you need to be 21 years of age. And then if you qualify for those two things, they have a training program. If you do not possess a bachelor's degree and you have a 2-year degree, you can be hired as a probation officer, but you have to undergo the training program for a year. Whereas if you have a bachelor's degree, you can only be in the training program for 3 months. Once you complete the training program, whether you have a bachelor's degree or not, you have to pass a certification test. Once you pass that, you pretty much got the job. And again, just like anything with criminal justice, you need to possess a clean record as a candidate, and that always sets you apart from the rest. And again, I got this information from www.bls.gov, the website that was listed on the online oral presentation instruction packet. With this section of the presentation, I'm now going to talk about the review of the City of Gainesville Police Department. I'm going to go over several different things that they consist of. First, I'll more so talk about the nature of the business / their motto. The nature of the police department, whom employs probation officers for the City of Gainesville, are responsible for the development, implementation, and maintenance on programs that focus on reducing criminal activity in our community. And with that goes, no single person or department is responsible for this alone. It is a joint effort with all the departments within the main department working together to provide protection to our community. The size of Gainesville Police Department cannot be stated at an exact number. Just know that for this city it is very large. Due to there being 2 colleges that possess different students from all over the world, and with that comes more possibility of criminal activity. Anytime you put large amounts of people inside of dorms and huge apartment complexes, the more people, the more criminal activity you're going to have. Within the department itself, they have an aviation unit, and that details people that fly over in airplanes and also protect the Gainesville airport. Also, we have a mounted unit in Gainesville for special occasions. Example would be the national championship when we win, or big events that go on in Gainesville, such as concerts. They actually have trained horses that officers ride around and patrol the sidewalks and parks and such that cars aren't allowed to go to. Also, we have a canine unit within the Department of Gainesville. They have highly trained German Shepherds that they use to fight crime. Also, they're good for looking for suspects after a crime has been committed. Most importantly, we have a SWAT unit right here in Gainesville, and they are highly trained police officers that have advanced and moved on to SWAT. And they handle all bomb threats, evacuations of buildings, major disasters that could occur. Also, we have a bicycle unit within our department, and those are the ones, again, similar to the mounted unit that go basically where cars are not allowed, usually within a high concentration of people, after football games and basketball games here on campus. Also, we have our standard police officers that use cruisers to patrol the area and community for any criminal activity. Then you have detectives, probation officers, crime scene investigators, and homicide crew. These are the people that don't get a lot of credit or kind of stay behind the scenes, don't get a lot of exposure until something has actually happened. And again, I got this information from the GainesvillePD.org website, and I also got it off of the database from Santa Fe, the Gainesville Sun, raw figures of GPD. And this is the review continued. A few strengths that I want to go over that deal with the department are we have crime prevention, and a great example of that is me and you. We can be citizens on patrol anytime that we see anything out of the ordinary going on. It is our civil duty as a citizen in this society to report it or try and stop it within our means. So that's a great way to prevent crime in our community. Also, we have the investigations unit. Great example would be forensics, special task force, homicide crew. All of those people are the people that go out after a crime has been committed and try to put the person who is responsible behind bars. Another great tool that we have that strengthens our department is a school resource officer. Every school nowadays usually has a school resource officer. They can be a role model to many students. They make students feel protected while they're in class. We have victim services, which is extremely important, as I've learned in my classes here at Santa Fe. They are the group and foundation that helps people get through whenever a crime has been committed against them, such as rape, murder, of a family member, theft, any of those things. They can actually go to the department and receive counseling at no cost. And then also, it's just a great tool to try to get someone's life back in order after something has happened. And then most importantly, we have our patrol of normal officers within our community. Just seeing a police officer on the street or in his patrol car can make people feel safe and make them feel like they are doing their jobs, and it's just a great feeling to know that they're not too far away, especially in a town like Gainesville. With the review continued, I'm going to talk about the requirements to be hired within the Gainesville Police Department. Again, probation officers can be hired by city, county, state, or the United States. So there's not one organization that hires probation officers. It just depends on which level you are. But on this, I'm just going to focus on the requirements to be hired by the city of Gainesville, more importantly GPD, Gainesville Police Department. A couple of the requirements is you need to attend a police academy, and it has to be in the state of Florida. It's required by law that you go to the police academy and get the proper training, and that is a 6 to a 9 month course depending on what you want to do. Also, you need to have a clean record, as stated before, background, criminal, anything. You need to pass a medical examination, to determine if you're even eligible or healthy enough to complete this job. You also have to pass a polygraph and background examination. The background is more so to, you know, find out what kind of life you've lived, if you have integrity enough for the job. Polygraph is obviously they want to know what type of person you have been, you know, throughout your life. And then the final step would be an oral interview, which is expected as most jobs have that. With this section of my presentation, I chose to talk about an ongoing issue, a current issue that has been going on for a while now with probation officers, and I'm just going to briefly summarize it. There's an ongoing issue in America dealing with its probation officers. The issue at hand is that America and the states are at a disagreement. The states that employ these probation officers have different views on whether a probation officer should carry a gun while working. The issue is significant due to the fact that probation officers are dealing with criminals every day while on the job, and some are unprotected. Many agencies and probation officers themselves feel that they need to carry a weapon just as a police officer because they are dealing with the same people and situations. The implications and obstacles are quite simple. The agencies want their officers safe while on the job, whereas society feels that it is an accident waiting to happen. Due to the fact that probation officers have zero backup and are all alone in the field, and the weapon could be taken away by the parolee, which can be argued on the other hand that it is even more reason why they need to be armed. In my personal opinion on the issue is that dangerous offenders are placed on supervision due to over prison crowding. And as more emphasis is placed on control, more probation officers will become armed. I will be glad to see it, considering probation officers have a right to arrest any probation offender. They need to be armed to handle those difficult situations. And I got this from the Academic Search Complete database by Paul Brown, and the title of the article was The Unspoken Reality. This is my works cited page. I had one online resource, which was the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, which was listed on the online presentation instruction packet. And then I used 3 resources from the Santa Fe Library database. I used 2 from Academic Search Complete database, and then I also used 1 on the Access World News. And that is my works cited page. And this is the end of my PowerPoint. I hope that you found that my presentation provided you with some helpful information, and thank you.